Jay here, Stretford, Paddock. This is the Paper Talk. As you can see, we're in the studio. We are live. So get involved in the chat and the comments, talking about all the latest Manchester United news. There's a few stories to get through. I know it's international break, and I hate international breaks. I especially hate them when it doesn't really involve a lot of United players when it comes to England, because I am an England fan, sort of. But there's no United players other than, obviously, Marcus Rashford is on loan in the England squad, so I'm not too fussed about that. There's been some disappointing news for other Manchester United players playing for other countries, which you're going to get into. So make sure you get involved and let me know your thoughts on all that. We are going to be looking at what is going on with the World Cup qualifiers. We're going to be looking at transfer rumours as well. We're talking about Benjamin Sesko's injury. You may have seen from the thumbnail there. There might be a decision to be made when it comes to the Everton game coming up in just over a week as to who is going to start up front for that one. So we'll get into all that. Good to see the usual suspects in the chat. Bob Ralph, Mick Holohan, or Bob Ralph, I should say. Santa Notch is here, saying Friday. Mathematic says Jay late again. I'm actually on time today for once. Logan 318, Jacoya Trot as well. Akash K, and Manchester Maverick says, morning Jay, Steve threw you under the bus this morning on the lateness. Do you know what, right? He's a cheeky git, Stephen Howson, because I wasn't even late. I was working elsewhere, but that's a different story. Let's get into this Benjamin Sesko injury. So it says here, this is from the Evening Standard. I think there's some quotes from the Times. It's basically saying, Benjamin Sesko, Manchester United get fresh update as new injury timeline revealed. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. You can scroll up and get into it. But it says there, it's set for a few weeks, set for weeks on the sidelines after suffering a knee injury. We know he picked up that knee injury, didn't he, at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. So he came off, left United down 10 men. It's not his fault. He didn't decide to get injured. He certainly didn't decide for us to use all our subs. But we thought he was going to have a few weeks off, and it seems the case. The question is, will he be back in time for the Everton game? It's Everton next, isn't it? Is it a week on Monday? I think it's the Monday evening kickoff. So there's a question there whether he's going to be fit for that or whether he might not be. And if he's not, what is the manager going to do? What are his options? Which option is he going to take? Now, Benjamin Sesko doesn't always start for Manchester United. He didn't start against Spurs, which is why obviously he came on as a sub. So you have the option, or Ruben Amorim has the option, of playing a front three of maybe Ahmad and Mbeumo and Cunha, or Mount and Mbeumo and Cunha, or however he wants to do it. He can maybe put Mbeumo as the furthest forward and have Mount and Cunha a little bit deeper. There's loads of options there which don't involve Benjamin Sesko. There are other options that he's got. He brings in one of the other strikers or the other attackers. See, so Joshua Zirkzee is a striker of sorts, classes himself as a 9.5, but I don't know, he's more of a 10 really, isn't he? But he can play up front. He has played up front before. So could he bring Joshua Zirkzee, who's kind of become the forgotten man at Manchester United? Could he end up getting a start against Everton? Or does Chido come in the mix? Chido, who's not featured at all this season for the first team, featured quite a lot towards the back end of last season. Is he an option for the manager? Let me know what you think. Get involved in the chat in the comments, because there's lots of ifs and buts and maybes. We might even see Benjamin Sesko fit. It does look like there's a strong chance he isn't 100% for the Everton game. So the manager might say, right, I'm not going to risk it. Let's shuffle the pack a little bit. That shuffling can involve the players that have already featured for the first team quite heavily anyway, or you could see someone like Joshua Zirkzee start. Let me know what you think. There's even the wild card. I'll say wild card. He could even try something like Mainu in a 10 and push Mbeumo up front, or Cunha up front, because he did say, didn't he, the manager, that he sees Kobbie Mainu, he said this last season, playing further up the pitch. He's not had any starts in the Premier League. Could this be an opportunity for him? Let me know what you think. Get involved in the chat and the comments. Tyler Wood says, morning Jay, heard you were late. Steve Howson throw me under the bus, eh? John B says the same. Gregor Scott says, if Zirkzee doesn't start, it shows how much Amorim doesn't rate him. Almiron? Isn't he the kid that plays for... is he still at Newcastle? Where's he gone? He left, didn't he, ages ago? Sorry. Listen, we all make typos. I'm the worst one for it. Santa Notch says, so long as he might miss one game and be out for 3 months, like half the squad 2 years ago. So, yeah, where is he? He's at Atlanta United. There you go. Yeah, where is Chido, says Muhammad Ali. I mean, he has been featuring, I think, for the academy. I think the attitude towards Chido is not to rush him. I think we sort of rushed him a little bit last season. He was thrown in quite a lot because we had issues up front. Obviously, Rasmus Højlund wasn't scoring regularly. We didn't have many other options. Joshua Zirkzee, like I said, he had injuries, and also he was viewed more as a 10. So Chido got some minutes. Did okay. I think we can say some decent performances. Didn't get off the mark goals-wise, but I don't think that's the end of the world. However, hasn't really featured much this season. So we'll see. Well, he hasn't featured at all this season. I don't know what I'm saying. He hasn't featured much. So we'll see what's going to happen with the manager, with the options. We do have a little other update on the Sesko thing. Slovenia did a bit of a statement, so we know obviously he's not joined up with the Slovenia squad. And there was a little bit of intrigue, wasn't there, a week or so ago, where it was like, what's going to happen? Is it going to be a bit of a bone of contentions between Manchester United and the Slovenia FA, where it's like, well, they want him and we're saying he's not ready. But I think it's all been fine. They released a statement saying that, I think as far as I can gather, everything's okay. Yeah, they've got all the medical documents from Manchester United, and they're sort of happy that not happy, but the content that he's not fit to feature for Slovenia. So there's not really any dramas on that front. I also saw there was an article, I think it was in the Mail, was it? I want to say, about Benjamin Sesko and about how he's applied himself really well in terms of training, getting into Carrington early. Is it the cryo chamber or whatever you call it, likes to have a massage before training, does all the right things as a professional that you ought to see. Hopefully as well, some of the criticism he gets will end, because I think the criticism has been unfair. I think he's done okay since he come in. We've seen glimpses, we've seen some goals, and there's a lot more to offer there. So I'm not too concerned about Benjamin Sesko. I'm not too concerned about his injury, and I'm not too concerned about his performances. There's a link in the chat so you can check out our merchandise. There you can see a little graphic there. I'm wearing some of it. I'm always wearing it. Good stuff. Thank you to everyone who's bought merchandise, supports the channel, and you get some good stuff. Let's not forget, Christmas is on the horizon as well. And while we're doing a bit of a plug, I'm going to do another one, because it's the sleep out tonight. I was going to say me and Scott. It's not me and Scott, it's myself tonight, doing a sleep out for charity to raise money for the Boob Centre, homeless charity in Manchester. Been supporting them for quite some time. If you can help out, I appreciate it. I understand that times are hard and not everyone can, and I get that. But smashed through my target, raised over £1,000. So I'm very, very grateful, because that money will make a big difference to the charity. So thank you to everyone who has supported it. It's absolutely bucking it down in Manchester. Proper Mancunian weather. So I'm looking forward to getting soaked tonight. But look, it's one night, and there's people out there that spend 365 nights a year sleeping rough. So any help we can give them is appreciated, and I appreciate all of you who've either shared it, donated, anything, or just commented. It is much appreciated. Let's talk about Carlos Baleba. This does my head in. These stories do my Swede right in. Carlos Baleba boost. Oh, right, great. What boost have we got? The Carlos Baleba boost. Is it that Brighton have decided to half his price? Is it that he's said he's going to come to Manchester United and play for free? Is it that he's handed in a transfer request? Is it that anything has happened in terms of a positive news story towards Carlos Baleba coming to Manchester United? And the answer is no. The boost here, right, is that Cameroon ain't going to the World Cup. So they lost to DR Congo last night. So they're not going to the World Cup, which obviously means that Brian Mbeumo and Andre Onana aren't going to the World Cup either. I know the Onana thing probably doesn't matter anymore, but Mbeumo, I'm a bit gutted for him, because he's a class player, deserves to play in the World Cup, and he isn't going to be playing in the World Cup. Now, the idea that this is a boost for Manchester United is just ridiculous. So it says it there at the bottom of that article, or the bottom of that screen, you can see that means they won't play in the World Cup in the summer. It therefore gives the player more time to complete a move in the summer transfer window, should United decide to pursue him again. Yeah, because he couldn't sign for us if he was playing in the World Cup. He's too busy. He's in the World Cup, so I can't sign. I've got to play for Cameroon in the World Cup, so there's no chance of me going anywhere other than staying at Brighton. But now, not in the World Cup, yeah, I've got time to sign a piece of paper. It's nonsense. It's not a boost for anyone. Certainly not a boost for Carlos Baleba. It's not a boost for Manchester United in our pursuit of him. It has zero effect whatsoever on whether Manchester United can buy Carlos Baleba. It just does. Right? It just does have zero effect. Like, that's not a boost by any stretch of the imagination, right? And I don't understand why. Well, I do understand why they do these articles. They do these articles because you put Carlos Baleba boost, and people like myself think, oh, was there a boost here? Something happened. Is this deal moving forward? And then you see the boost is he ain't going to the World Cup. So what? That doesn't affect whether Manchester United can buy him at all. Good people in the chat. Thank you, everyone who's offering support. Mathematic says, my bro got me the green and gold and Portuguese pride tees for Christmas. Legend. Thank you, Mathematic. Kevin Credible makes a great point here. Anyone else remember when City had 115 charges against them? I do, and that seems to have gone cold, doesn't it? Nothing's happening on that front. I don't know. I thought give up with it. I think the powers that be have give up with it as well. Oh, we've got another boost story. What's this one? Conor Gallagher boost. Atletico midfielder Conor Gallagher would be open to a January move to United as he looks to try and improve his World Cup chances, according to latest reports. Journalist Graham Bailey has told United in Focus that a move to United will be appealing to the player and a decision will be made in the coming weeks over a possible move. Gallagher has found regular game time hard to come by with Atletico this season. I'm massively underwhelmed by this one. I'm not going to lie to you. This thinks of just get anyone in because we need a midfielder. I'd rather try Mainu in that position. People go, well, Mainu's not got the legs of Gallagher. Mainu reads the game better. Mainu carries the ball better. Mainu's a better player than Conor Gallagher. Hence the reason. I know it's not the be-all and end-all, but hence the reason he knocked Conor Gallagher out of the England squad during the Euros last season, despite the fact Kobbie Mainoo had only made his debut for Manchester United, or his Premier League debut in November of that season. So, a player that thinks he can come to United because he ain't getting games at Atletico, there's a red flag there for me. Let me know what you think. I'm just not feeling this one at all. Akash K says, I fully agree. Jay, Mainly just doesn't have the athleticism, unfortunately, says Tom Pinelli. He's not ideal, but if you gave me a choice of Kobbie Mainoo or Conor Gallagher, I'd choose Kobbie Mainoo. I'm not saying that Kobbie Mainoo is necessarily the ideal scenario in a midfield too, but I'd certainly put him in there over Conor Gallagher. Adam Barlow disagrees. He says, I think he'd do a job for us for the rest of the season. Let me know. He's not a bad player, Conor Gallagher. I'm not saying he is. I just don't think he's the answer to any problems Manchester United have. When a player comes in like that, right, if he's going to play instead of Casemiro, there can't be a big drop-off. We've got a drop-off when Ugarte comes on for Casemiro, and I think there'd be a drop-off, too big a drop-off when Conor Gallagher took over from Casemiro or was starting instead of Casemiro if Casemiro's not available. I just do. What's this? Cameroon World Cup. Touched on this before. I do feel for Brian Mbeumo, man. Heartbroken Man United star storms off as Cameroon miss out on World Cup qualification following agonising defeat. Yeah, I'm not surprised he storms off. What's he meant to do? Cartwheel off. Get a grip. Yeah, they've not qualified for the World Cup, and it is sad to see because I'm slowly but surely falling in love with Brian Mbeumo, and I just want good things for him. I mean, that's not much storming, that really, is it? In terms of storming off. He's just walking off the pitch. He even shook someone's hand as he walked off. So it's a bit of a stretch to say he stormed off. And also, you've just been told, like, what is he, 25, 24, Brian Mbeumo? 26, thank you, producer Harvey, or social media guru Harvey. So it's not his last chance. He'll have another chance, but it's one of his few chances to play in the World Cup, innit? So he's obviously going to be gutted. So a bit of a nothing story. There's a few nothing stories doing the rounds this morning regarding World Cup, especially with the Cameroon thing as well. Let's talk about Mason Mount. This is, a bit of a, say funny, as in odd one rather than amusing one. A 19-year-old man has been arrested after allegedly verbally abusing Manchester United midfielder Mason Mount during the Premier League match against Spurs on Saturday. They confirmed in a statement that he was arrested on Saturday on suspicion of intentionally causing harassment, harm or distress, and has been bailed pending further inquiries with the investigation ongoing. I don't know what he said. I don't want to speculate, but I imagine he wasn't saying, "Oh, Mason Mount, you're rubbish, boo." Obviously saying things he shouldn't have been saying. He's been nicked. And the powers that be are clamping down on certain elements of abuse, support, if you can call it support, chants, social media posts. We've seen that. It is shifting. It's shifting. The landscape is shifting from what we saw even 3 or 4 years ago. And I think a lot of it, as a fan who's been going, to matches for 40 years, I get when emotions are running high. I get you don't want to remove the element of fans being able to shout and chant and all that. It's what makes support, memorable and what makes it effective. But There are lines you shouldn't cross, and I don't always think it's a bad thing when we say, actually, this is out of order now. I think if you look at what was going on when I started going to football matches, if you heard some of the chants that I first heard, you'd be like, oh my God, that is disgusting. And now we've moved on from that, and maybe we need to move a little bit further. Let's talk about Karim Adeyemi. I mentioned this yesterday. Where's this tweet from? Last night. So, Florian Plettenberg, who's a friend of the channel, knows his stuff when it comes to German football. He says Manchester United have inquired about Karim Adeyemi and obtained information from Jorge Mendes. Dortmund is still pushing to extend Adeyemi's contract, but no agreement has been reached. So far, it remains unclear whether Dortmund will actually include a release clause in the new deal. However, Adeyemi and Mendes want to have one included. He struggled, hasn't he, this season? Didn't he have a Barney with a manager? I don't know what's going on there. Am I getting all things wrong? But I just don't get this at all. Like, it feels a little bit like mischief making from his agent to me. Not to cast aspersions on Florian Plettenberg, getting done by an agent, but that's how it feels. Let me know what you think. Hit that like button as well, please, people. Yep, Akash K just says another one of Mendes' clientele. Alan says stay away from Dortmund players. I mentioned this the other day, didn't I? We've not got a good record with Dortmund players. And it's mad because we signed some players with Dortmund and they look mint, don't they? And even when they first come to United, you'll see signs and you'll go, there's a player here. And it just never quite works out. I mean, doesn't mean that we can't ever sign players from Dortmund, but our batting average ain't great. Let's talk about one of my favourite topics. Shea Lacey. Lee Carsley, who's the England under-21 manager, says about Shea Lacey. He's been in the pathway a good amount of time now, and he's a player that we rate highly. It worked out well that we needed that position for the training we were doing, and Shea was more than happy to come over and train with the under-21s. You can see he's a good talent. I know he's struggled with injuries in the past, which has probably held back his development, but I think it's so important we don't rush these young players. We let them develop in their own time. I think he trained 2 sessions with us, and I enjoyed having him. He trained with the first team, didn't he? The England first team the other week, Shea Lacey. Look, he's an amazingly talented lad, Shea Lacey. Really is. As Lee Carsley mentioned there, and as we've spoken about quite a lot on Academy Review and on other podcasts as well, he had a bit of a time with it, with injuries, Shea Lacey, when he was like 15, 16. At a time when you're developing and you should be progressing, and there was a worry that could cost him, that could scupper his career somewhat. And if you looked at other players of a similar age from that England under-16s, under-17s group, you had Ethan Anwary, I think, and you had Miles Lewis-Skelly. They'd kicked on a bit. And people forget that actually, when it was like, a few years ago, people were looking at Shea Lacey from that group as being the star of that group, as being the one who everyone thought, if anyone's going to make it here, it's going to be him. And yet those two sort of leapfrogged him in their development because he got injured. His injuries was preventing him. Not that they didn't do well. Obviously, they've done very well at Arsenal. But because of the injuries, he didn't progress as quickly as many people expected. He's having a better time of it with injuries of late. Lots to admire. For me, right, Shea Lacey is a typical United player. Wants the ball all the time, takes people on, creates things, excites you. That's what whenever I think of him, what's a typical Manchester United player, or certainly an attacker, that's the kind of player I think of with Shea Lacey. I think he's a Scouser full of Liverpool. His family's full of Liverpool fans, and he supports United, which is even better. So hopefully we'll see a bit more of Shea Lacey. Finn, who does Academy Review for us, says that he could see Shea Lacey getting some minutes for the first team during the AFCON. In the AFCON, we're going to lose Brian and Mbeumo, we're going to lose Ahmad, and we're going to lose Mazraoui. Now, certainly Ahmad and Mbeumo leaving could open up a door or a pathway for Shea Lacey. If he continues to do the things he's been doing so far this season, then it's not beyond the realms of possibility that Ruben Amorim drafts him into the first team and he comes in for Brian and Mbeumo. Massive shoes to fill, of course, but I wouldn't be against that move. Kevin Credible says, any chance Shea Lacey wants to come and play for Ireland? I don't know. I'm not getting involved in that one. That's a different discussion for a different day. Akash K points out, it's Mazraoui's birthday today. Pound for pound, one of the best signings we've made post-Fergie. Cost next to nothing. Played over 60 games, is it? And has been mint so far. Don't often say that about a player we've signed post Alex Ferguson. Cost next to nothing, has been mint so far. When do we ever say that? hopefully he can have a long Manchester United career. But I love Nusa Mazraoui, and I hope he has a happy birthday. I'm going to leave it there. Going to be back later on today with one of my favourite journalists, Carl Anker, is coming in. I'm going to be chatting to Carl Anker about all the athletic articles he's been writing, plus other stuff as well. I think they're doing a bit of a tour with Talk of the Devils, so yeah, good stuff there. Don't forget, there's a link in the chat to my Just Giving page for the sleep out I'm doing there. Anyone who can help out, I appreciate it, and appreciate everyone who has as well. And we've got the brew today. Well, I'll be holding Stephen Howson to account for him throwing me under the bus about being late this morning. I've been Jay Moy. This has been the Paper Talk. Thanks for watching.